Started shooting this video in April of 2020, and this is my 15-year-old Tulip Poplar tree. And in this video, I'm going to try to undo a wrong that was done 15 years ago. Yes, these landscaping rocks and mulch have been around this Tulip Poplar for 15 years, and that's not good. Not to mention it was buried too deep back then. A few months before starting this video, I planted that tree. While researching how to plant it correctly, I realized my old Tulip Poplar needed some immediate attention. As you can see, the mulch is very high up on the trunk. There's multiple layers of landscaping fabric and plastic underneath. With each layer of plastic I removed, I found a new species of bugs crawling around. Honestly, I'm not sure how this tree looked so good for so many years, being in this condition. The more I dug, the more fearful I became of what I'd find. With my biggest fear, of course, being bark rot. Here in a few seconds, you'll see a bunch of bugs just scatter. That's not good for a tree. There they go. I did do some research on the best way to get to the flare, or at least uncover and bury this tree a little bit. The consensus I found was to use an Airspade. I called a few local arborists. They responded with, "What's that?" So I was kind of on my own. The goal was to be careful and not to gouge the tree as much as possible with whatever tools I used. I did find that it was much easier to maybe loosen the soil a little bit with a flathead screwdriver and then use the water hose to kind of blast the dirt away. It seemed to be the best method if you don't have an Airspade. I was a little concerned to run into so many small roots while removing the dirt. But if you watch an arborist on YouTube use an Airspade to do this same process and lower the soil level, they remove tons of roots, small and big. So once you see that process actually done by someone that knows what they're doing, you realize these small roots here are kind of inconsequential, and it's not a big deal. I'm not saying this is the right way to do this, but it was peace of mind for me to watch people actually doing the process that knows it, do it on YouTube. But by no means don't do this because I'm doing it, because it may not be the right thing to do, and I'm hoping I didn't kill this tree, but we'll see. This part right here, while it does clear away the dirt and lower the soil line a little bit after you've loosened the dirt up, it is very messy. So that's the reason that I've started this video in April of 2020 and still shooting it in November of 2020 and probably just now posting it in November or December, is because after you use the water hose, you can't really do much more unless you want to become a muddy mess. This cluster of roots was tight up against the tree, and as the tree and roots grew over time, I'm certain this would have caused a problem. This is the problem you'll find if your tree is buried too deep. When I remove that one root, you can see the indentation of the root in the tree. Over time, that'll be a much bigger problem, so I'm glad to go ahead and get that out of the way. As I got closer to the roots, I had to be careful with this tool because you can tell right there, it's very easy to nick the roots. This part of the dig was probably the most satisfying because I'm actually exposing the root flare, which was the main purpose in the beginning. I'm not sure what that giant round thing is there. My guess is it's a deformed root caused by being buried that deep. But as you can tell from the soil line right above it, that was completely underground when this process started. And this side here wasn't too bad. My goal here was to get down to where those two structural roots come into the tree, or come in close to the tree, and expose that portion of it. I wanted to see if the roots were crossing over each other and if that was going to cause any issues. As you can tell from the leaves on the ground, it's now fall time. I was going to call it quits for the year, but this side of the tree is the one that concerned me the most. It wasn't flaring out like the other side, and I wanted to go a little bit deeper to see its condition. But as you can tell, the deeper I went, the more soft bark I ran into. I gave the soil a week or so to dry out before I made my final go at this. It's now mid-November and we've not got many nice days left. So my goal is to expose some more of the trunk and let it start to dry out and hopefully heal itself. I'll also let the exposed roots heal up from my nicks over the winter and cover them up with some mulch or rock in the spring. Oh. Average of that. This is the final walk around. This is all I'm going to do for the rest of this year on this tree. But as you can tell, this side here still looks a little bit rough. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see how this tree looks in the spring of next year and to see how it grows and if there's any issues with it in the future, be sure to subscribe to my channel.